Hello and welcome. We are today going to discuss in a project, when you present your project, how to do with internal resources. That is to say, whether you need to show them or not to show them in the budget of the project. By the way, I'm Christian from Vision 6D. I will discuss this with you through an example. I have here a project which is the installation of a software. For that software, we will need the software to purchase the software, and we will need servers. That project is organized in the first phase, which is initiation. It's when we prepare everything for the project, including the budget. Then there will be a conception, ending with the purchase of those systems, and then, of course, the realization, the integration of themselves, and we'll have also a training. I have here already allocated some resources to this project. All this work is already done. It is planned. And as you will see, I have added some resources. In order to see the resources, we will go here up to the resource sheet. And you see that we have people working here. All those people are internal users, integrators, developers, and here I have a consultant. The project manager, it's yourself, it's you. You are also internal to this organization. In order to work on this project, we will need the CRM software, which is here, and you see we will need servers. Let's start with the servers. Servers, they will cost 3,000 each. So I've defined them as a material resource here at a cost of 3,000 the unit. So we can now go back to the Gantt chart, and we see here at the system purchase that we find here the CRM software for 6,000, and we see servers for three units. So this means that now if we go into the task information for this task and we go and look at the resources here, we find the people involved in it. You see the accountant, the project manager, and after we see the CRM software that we keyed in here directly, the 6,000, and you see 3 units of server, which makes a 9,000. So all in all, for this task, we have 9,000 plus 6,000, 15,000 of costs. There is now an additional point that I want to see with you. It is one task which is here, which is the training. And the training has a cost. I have defined a resources for this. And we'll go to the resource sheet here. And you see the training is a resource of type cost. It means we just have to pay for the training. And no cost is defined here. So let's go back to the Gantt chart and we look now at the training itself. I select here the information for that task. And once again, we go to resources and you see the people involved here. As you see, no cost is here involved with the training, so we will add here our 6,000. Just hit return. We will say OK. So, and you see here on the line, here down, 6,000 francs have been added to these tasks. So now we are back to the Gantt chart and we will add here the column of costs. We see now that for most tasks the cost is 0, apart for the ones where we buy something. Here we have the 15,000, which are composed of the 6,000 of the software and now 1,000 for the 3 servers. And here below we have the training here with the 6,000 of the training. So all in all, it makes us a project that would cost 21,000. So there is one way to look at those things by going to report, and among the dashboard we have the cost overview that I will present you here. And you see here that the total cost of the project is 21,000, and we see here that it goes up with scales. These are the 15,000 when we buy the software and the servers, and here an additional 6,000 for the training. So that's the way this project goes. To say it again, we have here a project that costs 21,000. Nevertheless, there are people working into this project, and if I go to the dashboard and I look at the work overview, we see here that 1,000 hours will be involved into this project. And here up we have a graph where we show how we will consume those 1,000 hours through our resources. Here down we have also an interesting view where we can show per resource, per people involved in the project, the quantity of hours they will put in. So I think it's also one way to present a project by saying just the cost of things you have really to buy and to give the number of hours that will be worked into this project. So now I go to the other version where we will cost internal resources. For that, I have here, as you see, inserted a rate per hour for each resource. I usually go with several levels. I don't need to have the exact cost of each resource. For coworkers, I put 100 per hour. For some more specialized people or project managers, I put 150. For consultants, which are experts or experts level, I put 200 per hour. And there is also another category that I use from time to time. They are the stakeholders or managers with 300 per hour. So I've just added this to my project, which means MS Project will calculate the cost of the work of each of those resources for each task. So this being prepared, I will immediately switch now to the Gantt chart, and you will notice that it is the same project. I have, of course, the same information as before, meaning the software cost 6,000. We have 3 servers involved at 3,000 each, and we have the training for 6,000. So now I'm going to add here the column cost as I did for the previous one. As we can see with this, we see that for each different phase of the project, there is a price which is calculated. So we see that all in all, our project that was costing 21,000 has now raised to 141,800,000. So this is a huge difference when you compare the two ways and the two approaches to the project. I let you just decide which one you prefer, and depending on organizations, there is one or the other one. But with that one, it is really clear what are the costs involved into this project. So as we did with the previous one, I can show you the reports from the dashboard with the cost overview. And you see here that we have reported the 141,800. This is the way that it is spent. You see that there are different ways to go up. This is due to the cost of the internal resources. If now I take the other report, which is also among the dashboard but is the work overview, we see that here nothing has changed. It's still the same amount of hours. It's just the evidence of the cost that it would cost to the organization of that work that is much more clear. We will now admit that one manager said that in the end, the part which is called system integration could be done by an external supplier. Now, before to compare the two ways and by changing the costs, I will do what we call a baseline just to have a reference. So in order to have a baseline, you need to go to the part called here project. And here you will see we have set the baseline. So I click on this and we can here set the baseline. And you see it will set a baseline. It means it's a picture of the project at that moment that we want to do. This will help me in comparing the costs further on. I will go here up and to the resource sheet. I will here define now a new resource, which I will call external one. 1, and that resource is a resource of type work, and I need to cost the rate per hour of that resource, and I will put here 100. Now I can go back to the Gantt chart of the first way to do that calculation. And here, where it's system integration, I have integrator 1 that is defined twice. So I will change this here to go and pick our resource, which is external. External, and I remove integrator. And I do this a second time here too for the second part of the work, external, and here I remove integrator 1. And you see that immediately MS Project has calculated us some costs here, which is the work per hour for this task. And you see that here it costs 7,200. It is what we will pay the external, and the price of the cost of the project has risen up to 28,200. So we can now use here up some reports, and among the reports we have what we call costs overrun, and we can find here the 7,000 that will cost us the external. The reason that I can see the cost overrun is that it's comparing the actual situation to a reference. And the reference is what we've done through the baseline. So this was the reason why I added the baseline to this project, that it can show us really where there is a cost change. We will now bring exactly the same changes in the second method of dealing with costs in a project. For that, I've taken here the second way. We see as a reminder that the project was costing 141,800. In order to do comparisons later on, we will now need to baseline the project. For this, I go here up into project, and we see here that there is the set baseline. So I will set a baseline. You see it's here up what I'm going to take. With that, I have now the baseline for a later comparison. I go now to the resource sheet, and as I've done, I will add an external. While we are here, let me pull your attention on the fact that external 1 will cost 100 per hour, and that worker is going to replace what we have done through integrator 1, which is here up, which also cost 100 per hour. Let's go and see what's happening with the Gantt chart. We'll do here our changes. So it's on those two tasks here, server installation and application installation. I move this from integrator 1 to external, and we don't see any change in the cost, and here up we don't see any change also in the project cost. Just to make sure that there isn't anything that appeared, we'll go to the report, and among the costs we'll look at the costs overrun. So here in the cost overrun, as we expected in the cost overrun, we see here the increase by those 7,200. But here we see something unusual. We see a decrease in the cost by 7,200, which means that since we had already costed in the way we cost the project, the work of integrator 1, and that in the end it was just integrator 1 that was replaced by external 1 at the same rate per hour, it's normal that we see here an increase, and here the compensation of the work we won't have been done through integrator 1. So it means, and it's what we see here down, that we had a baseline that was costing 141,800,000, and that the actual cost is still 141,800. And you see that there is no cost variance. As you can see, the two approaches have differences in the consequences when there are changes. We've discussed this quite intensively with the participants to the training, so I let you choose the way you want to proceed. It might also be that your organization is already dealing in some way. I'm in favor of the one where you see all the costs, that is to say, the method 2. But I also understand that in some situations it's difficult to change the habits and the way people are doing it. So if you want to react to this position or to the video, feel free to post comments, to like the videos, and you can also subscribe to my channel. It was a pleasure and I hope to see you soon. Bye!